July 2nd, 1994, Medellin. A soccer star walks to his car after a night out. He has no idea he's about to become a national martyr, a casualty of football, gambling, and cartel revenge. What unfolds next changes Colombian sports forever. Here are 7 times famous athletes messed with the wrong gangs and paid the ultimate price.
Almost 2 years after Denver Broncos cornerback Darrent Williams was killed in a drive-by shooting, a suspect has been indicted in the case. 25-year-old Willie Clark has long been considered a person of interest in the shooting. Wednesday, he was indicted on nearly 40 charges.
New Year's Day, 2007. Denver sleeps while violence waits. Just hours after his last NFL game of the season, Denver Broncos cornerback Darrent Williams leaves a nightclub, celebrating both a teammate's birthday and his own promising career. Within minutes, a series of gunshots shatters the cold Denver night, and sports history is forever changed. Darrent Williams was more than an NFL cornerback. He was a rising star. Born in Fort Worth, Texas in 1982, Williams overcame a tough upbringing to play football for Oklahoma State University. Drafted by the Broncos in 2005, he quickly established himself as a fan favorite, known for his electric plays on the field and infectious personality off it. By 24, he'd become a fixture in Denver's sports community and a local hero to kids who saw themselves in his journey. But that journey ended in violence, a stark reminder that success can't always outrun danger. The night began with celebration. Williams attended a New Year's Eve party hosted by Denver Nuggets player Kenyon Martin at a local nightclub called Shelter. Joined by teammates and friends, it was supposed to be a night of laughter and memories. What Williams couldn't know, what no one could know, was that fate had other plans waiting outside that club. Hours earlier, the Broncos had lost their final game of the season against San Francisco. Williams, injured late in the game, still found reason to celebrate with teammates. Among them, wide receiver Javon Walker, who would have become an unwilling witness to tragedy. As the party wound down, trouble brewed outside. An altercation at the nightclub, allegedly involving Broncos teammate Brandon Marshall and members of a local gang, set events in motion. Though Williams wasn't part of the conflict, he would pay the ultimate price. The group left in a rented Hummer limousine, unaware they were being followed. In the early hours of January the 1st, the chase began. What followed was a textbook drive-by shooting. Over 15 shots fired from 2 different handguns. The bullets tore through the limousine, striking Williams in the neck and 2 other passengers. Williams fell into Javon Walker's lap, dying almost instantly. The shooting happened around 2:10 a.m. By 2:30, Williams was pronounced dead at a Denver hospital. He was 24 years old. The investigation moved quickly. Police impounded a vehicle registered to Brian Hicks, a known gang member already incarcerated on other charges. But the case would take nearly 2 years to solve. Witnesses described the confrontation at the nightclub, a clash between rival gang members and players. While Williams himself had no gang affiliations, some speculated about his group's connections. The official story: Williams was an innocent bystander caught in gang crossfire. But evidence mounted against one man, Willie Clark, a known member of the local Crips gang.
Were fired.
There are numerous people in the SUV, and we are alleging in the indictment that Willie Clark is responsible for the murder of Darrent Williams.
Clark had been in federal custody for a parole violation since days after the murder. The indictment would come nearly 2 years later, charging Clark with 2 counts of first-degree murder, multiple counts of attempted murder, and numerous crimes of violence.
There is no bond set for Mr. Clark. He is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Like I said, he's charged with numerous counts of attempted first-degree murder. He's charged with counts of second-degree assault.
Clark wasn't acting alone. Multiple people were in the SUV that followed Williams, but prosecutors alleged Clark was the trigger man, the one who pulled the fatal shot. The case would eventually lead to Clark's conviction and a life sentence plus 152 years in prison. But for Williams's family, teammates, and the city of Denver, no sentence could undo the loss. Williams left behind a wife, 2 young children, and a city in mourning. Teammates like Javon Walker would never be the same, forever changed by witnessing their friend's death. The impact rippled through the sports world. Williams's number 27 became a symbol in Denver, retired to honor his memory. A memorial teen center was opened in his name, and former teammates established a fund for his children. The investigation continued, authorities believing more people were involved. The case wasn't over, and there may still be charges to come. But for the people who loved Darrent Williams, the damage was done. As we move to our next case, remember, sometimes the price of success isn't measured in dollars, but in the dangers that come with leaving one world behind for another. And in the next story, you'll see how stars can fall when gang ties run deeper than touchdown celebrations.
Narbonne High School lost a good student and talented football player this week. Now county supervisors have put $10,000 out there to find his killer. Chris Blatchford talked with Danny Farber's friends on campus.
May 24th, 2009, Memorial Day weekend in Compton. Danny Farber, a senior at Narbonne High School, sits down for dinner with his girlfriend at a Louisiana fried chicken restaurant. By the end of the night, the city would mourn the loss of one of its brightest young stars. And Anatio, her athlete, would become a tragic statistic in the ongoing war between gangs and hope. Danny Farber wasn't just another student counting down days to graduation. He was Narbonne's star wide receiver, fresh off leading his team to the city championship and already fielding college scholarship offers. Friends and teammates described him as a positive force, always there to help, always with a word of encouragement, and always dreaming big despite harsh realities around him. His friend Destiny Waters summed up the shock.
School.
Personally, me, it made me you're here today, gone tomorrow. We were just in the auditorium hugging, and now, this is what we have.
Those words echoed through Narbonne's halls. The halls Danny would never walk again. Growing up in Compton, Danny understood the streets. He knew how to avoid trouble, how to keep his head down, and how to focus on football and family. His coaches were more than just mentors. They grew into father figures, guiding him through the temptations and dangers that claimed so many other young talents in the city. Assistant football coach Robert Gill, who knew Danny since his Pop Warner days, remembered.
He was a great kid, always wanted a hug. The coach who's known Danny since he was 7 playing Pop Warner football says he was always a hard-working, good kid.
That warmth made Danny more than just a star athlete. It made him beloved by everyone around him. But Compton's streets are painted with invisible borders, each neighborhood claimed by different gangs who watch everyone, especially young black men. That night in the restaurant, a young man walked in, wearing a black hood over a baseball cap. He saw Danny sitting with his girlfriend, mistook him for a rival, and asked the fateful question that echoes through so many tragedies. "Where you from, cuz?" Danny, never one to back down but knowing the rules, stood up and said, "I don't gangbang." But it didn't matter. The shooter pulled out his weapon and fired several shots at close range. The restaurant's surveillance cameras caught everything except the shooter's face. Danny tried to crawl toward the door, but collapsed near the counter. His girlfriend, Araceli Nogueira, tried to help but could only watch in horror as his life slipped away. Outside the restaurant, tributes began to appear. Candles, cards, a graduation balloon reading "Congrats, graduate." All reminders of the young man whose life was stolen 3 weeks before. He would have walked across the stage in his cap and gown. Narbonne High School went into mourning. The school administration tried to protect students from the media, refusing cameras on campus. But classmates gathered anyway, writing messages on posters and memorializing Danny in every hallway. Class Vice President Maria Zamudio spoke for everyone.
This hit us really hard. One person affected a whole bunch of people, and it's all the races came together in one.
The impact showed in every classroom, every locker, and every empty chair Danny left behind. For months, the investigation stalled. The shooter had no apparent connection to Danny. He was just another victim caught in the web of gang violence that surrounds so many athletes in places like Compton. But eventually, an anonymous tip led police to Arlen Watson, a 21-year-old known gang member. He was charged with first-degree murder, but nothing could bring Danny back. His death became a stark reminder that even star athletes aren't immune from gang violence. It's a problem that stretches from high school fields to Division I colleges. Athletes either get caught in crossfire or become targets themselves. On graduation day, Danny's classmates carried his memory with them. His empty chair spoke louder than any speech. The West Rosecrans Avenue restaurant where he died still bears his name in makeshift memorials, hats, candles, team shirts, and handwritten notes. As one reporter put it, now the focus is on finding the devil who murdered him. But the real devil isn't just one person. It's a system that claims too many young lives before they can reach their potential. Just when you think that's the worst this violence can get, the next story will show how even a casual connection to the wrong people can turn deadly, even for those with everything to lose.
Allegedly involved in the deadly shooting of Washington Redskins star Sean Taylor. He's going to spend 30 years behind bars. 25-year-old Charles Wardlow.
Sean Taylor was born April 1, 1983 in Florida City, Florida. By age 24, he'd become one of the NFL's hardest-hitting and most respected safeties, earning the nickname Meast, half man, half beast. He played university ball for the Miami Hurricanes, helping secure their 2001 BCS National Championship. Drafted 5th overall in 2004, Taylor quickly made an impact with the Washington Redskins, earning 2 Pro Bowl selections and a reputation as a fierce competitor. Taylor had grown up in Miami's low-income neighborhoods, but had worked hard to build a different life for himself and his young family. He was a rising NFL star, but his success wouldn't shield him from the dangers lurking back home. By 2007, Taylor had earned a reputation not just for his talent, but for turning his life around after early professional missteps. Teammates said his newborn daughter inspired him to clean up his act and focus on football. That year, he was having one of his best seasons, tied for most NFC interceptions despite missing 2 games with a knee injury. But while Taylor rehabbed his injury, at home in Miami, danger was once again closing in. November 26, 2007. 4 intruders break into Taylor's Miami home, believing he's away for the Redskins game in Tampa Bay. They know his schedule, think the house is empty, and enter through a rear window. What they don't realize, Taylor is home, recovering from a knee injury. As Taylor investigates the noise, he grabs a machete. It wasn't just fear, it was instinct. He'd grown up fighting for survival on tough Miami streets. But that night, facing multiple intruders, things turned tragic. Shots were fired. Taylor was hit in the leg. But what seemed like a non-life-threatening wound proved fatal.
Taylor was home nursing an injury and confronted them with a machete. He was fatally shot in the leg.
The bullet severed his femoral artery, causing massive blood loss. Taylor's fiancée and his 18-month-old daughter reached him as paramedics raced to the scene. Despite emergency surgery, Taylor died the next day, November 27, 2007, just 24 years old. Neighbors recalled Taylor as both a football hero and a devoted father. The front of his home turned into a makeshift memorial filled with candles, memorabilia, and notes from fans and teammates. The entire NFL wore his Number 21 decal on their helmets the following week. The Redskins' defense began their next game with only 10 men, leaving Taylor's spot vacant in tribute. The group of 5 men from Fort Myers is accused of breaking into Taylor's home back in 2007. But Taylor was home nursing an injury and confronted them with a machete. He was fatally shot in the leg. Within days, Miami police arrested 5 suspects, all young men from Fort Myers, Florida. One of them, 17-year-old Eric Rivera Jr., would eventually confess to firing the fatal shot. The group admitted they targeted Taylor because they heard about expensive jewelry he kept at home. They assumed he'd be away with the team. But their timing was tragically off. The legal process dragged on for years. Rivera Jr. was convicted of second-degree murder and armed burglary, then sentenced to nearly 60 years in prison. The other defendants received sentences ranging from 18 to 30 years. The aftermath affected all corners of the NFL. Taylor's death was seen as a wake-up call about the dangers professional athletes faced, especially those who returned home to communities still struggling with poverty and crime. His teammates established a trust for his daughter. The Redskins retired his number 21 and created multiple memorials inside their stadium. Roads leading to the team's FedEx Field were renamed in his honor. Next up, another heartbreaking story involving a young school athlete.
A home security camera capturing the chilling sounds of bullets being fired. When the gunfire stopped, a local high school student was dead. Richard Reed was a popular standout student in the classroom and also
17-year-old Richard Lee wasn't just another high school athlete. He was the star linebacker, an honor roll student, and a big brother who always put his family first. Silverado High School had seen talented players before, but Richard's work ethic set him apart. Teachers described him as dedicated and respectful. Coaches talked about his drive and leadership. The community saw him as a young man destined for something more. But in late November, everything changed. It started as a normal Sunday night in Victorville. Richard had celebrated earning Defensive Player of the Year the night before. His mother, Raisha Reed, remembers how happy he was.
He just wanted to make us happy, and that was Richard.
Richard Reed's mother, too upset to talk on camera. She was in the stands for every game, capturing his plays.
According to witnesses, the night grew tense quickly. Residents reported seeing unfamiliar cars circling the block. Doors were locked, curtains closed. But Richard, always protecting friends and family, stepped outside. Suddenly, the first shots rang out. A neighbor, Karen White, recalls.
Killer.
I heard rapid-fire gunshots. I was at least 35, 40. Bam, 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 bam.
The security camera's audio captured each shot, mapping out the timeline of violence. Those 40 gunshots echo through every street in Victorville now. By the time police arrived, Richard's dreams and his future were gone. Authorities quickly realized the investigation wasn't going to be easy. As Mara Rodriguez from the Sheriff's Department admitted,
right now we don't have a whole lot to go on, and so we're hoping that maybe someone will come forward to give us some more information, and we are definitely just pounding the streets trying to get some information on what might have happened to this young man.
The crime scene was meticulous. No obvious evidence. No witnesses willing to talk. Whoever came for Richard knew exactly what they were doing. His high school football team responded immediately. Both teams pledged to honor Sudro 09 with special helmet stickers at their next playoff game. Community support poured in. A GoFundMe campaign surpassed all expectations. The school principal, fighting back tears, closed classes for a day. Richard's empty seat in the homeroom became a silent reminder of what was lost. But the biggest question remains: why? The investigation continues, but silence surrounds the case. Community members whisper about a possible gang connection, but nothing confirmed. As the playoff game approaches, both teams prepare for more than just football. An entire community prepares to remember a young man with unlimited potential, but the pain lingers. The questions grow louder, and the fear spreads. But if you think that was intense, wait until you hear about this next athlete from Colombia. July 2nd, 1994, Medellin. 27-year-old Andres Escobar, known as the gentleman of football, stepped out of a nightclub, completely unaware he'd never walk the city streets again. What happened next would ignite international outrage, forever linking Colombia's national pastime to its darkest criminal underworld. Andres Escobar wasn't just a promising center back for Atlético Nacional and the Colombian national team. He was also a symbol of everything hopeful about his country's game. Escobar had helped Colombia reach new heights. A Copa Libertadores trophy for his club, a heroic 1990 World Cup run, and respect across the international soccer world. But behind Colombia's athletic rise lurked something far more sinister. In the months leading up to the 1994 World Cup, Colombian football was deeply entangled with the cartel's money. Gambling syndicates, fronted by men like the notorious Galán Henao brothers, embedded themselves in the sport, using matches as a playground for their dirty money and dangerous bets. They backed the national team with huge wagers, believing Colombia could finally dominate the global stage. That confidence proved costly. After a shocking opening round loss to Romania, the pressure on Colombia grew immense. Players received death threats, and the coach changed lineups out of fear. Then, in the United States match, disaster struck. In the 35th minute, Escobar tried to block a cross, accidentally deflecting the ball into his own goal. Colombia would lose the match and be eliminated from the tournament, sending betting syndicates reeling from their losses. Despite the team's collective failure, Escobar was blamed, particularly by those who lost millions. Escobar returned home to Medellin, shunning his vacation plans to face the music. On July 1st, he visited several bars with friends before heading to El Indio nightclub alone. Around 3 a.m., the Gallon Henao brothers and their bodyguard, Humberto Muñoz Castro, found him in the parking lot. An argument started, escalated. Then Muñoz pulled a .38 caliber pistol and shot Escobar 6 times, reportedly shouting "Goal" after each shot. The men fled in a Toyota pickup, leaving Escobar bleeding and helpless. Escobar was rushed to the hospital, but died 45 minutes later. His murder wasn't just a personal tragedy, it was a national crisis. The next day, police arrested 2 suspects, including the getaway driver. Colombian President Cesar Gaviria called the killing a loss that plunged the nation into mourning. Authorities placed a $60,000 reward on the killer's capture and assigned bodyguards to every national player. Escobar's funeral drew more than 120,000 mourners, turning Medellin's sports coliseum into a sea of grief and anger. Fans, teammates, and even rival players paid respects to El Caballero del Fútbol. Security was so tight, due to the high-profile nature of the crime, that military guards surrounded the casket. The investigation quickly focused on Muñoz Castro, the Gallon brothers' driver and bodyguard. In June 1995, he was convicted of Escobar's murder and sentenced to 43 years. But under the prevailing penal code, his sentence was cut to 26 years. As if that wasn't shocking enough, Muñoz walked free after just 11 years for good behavior, while his 3 accomplices were acquitted for lack of evidence. Many believe the Gallon brothers had bribed officials to pin everything on Muñoz. Escobar's grieving fiancée, Pamela Cascardo, publicly claimed they bought their freedom. To this day, the full conspiracy behind his murder remains suspiciously murky. But Escobar's death did ignite change, at least symbolically. His murder finally shed global light on football's blood-stained connections to organized crime. Colombia's league cleaned up, at least on the surface. Security for players became mandatory. Gambling syndicates retreated from public view. Yet, as some witnesses in his memorial footage suggest, the violence never truly ended, only went underground. In Medellin, Escobar's death marked the end of innocence in Colombian football. His brother, Santiago, later coached several top teams, carrying on some hope for redemption. Before his murder, Andres had been rumored to sign with AC Milan, representing a jump from Colombia's violent past into Europe's bright lights. Today, Escobar is a martyr for both clean sport and Colombia's lost era. His family established the Andrés Escobar Project, using football to steer kids away from crime. Medellin built a sports complex in his name, and a statue honors the immortal number 2. Escobar is still remembered by moving tributes from the children he inspires, though the adults mourn what his death truly cost. Some say his murder changed nothing, that Colombian football violence continued unabated. Others believe his sacrifice opened the door for reform. Either way, his last words to his country still resonate. Life doesn't end here. Yet for Colombia, a certain innocence died with Andrés Escobar that July night, forever linking football, violence, and the true. Next up, another footballer from Ecuador. December 17, 2025, Guayaquil, Ecuador. It was supposed to be just another afternoon in the city's Samans district, But for 33-year-old Mario Pineida, a respected defender with Barcelona de Guayaquil and former national team star, it would have become a tragic turning point in Ecuador's battle with gang violence. Pineida's murder wasn't just another statistic in Ecuador's growing death toll. He was more than an athlete. He embodied a generation of young Ecuadorians who used talent to climb out of poverty. His journey began with Independiente del Valle in 2010, where raw speed and determination quickly turned heads in the National League. By 2016, he had claimed his place with Barcelona SC, clinching 2 league titles that made him a household name across Ecuador. But while Pineida was building his career, violence in Guayaquil was escalating. The city, just 165 miles southwest of Ecuador's capital, became a hotbed for criminal activity. By 2025, murders in the city had hit record highs, 1,300 between January and September alone. The surge traced back to Ecuador's strategic location between Colombia and Peru, transforming Guayaquil into a key cocaine transit hub. On that December afternoon, Pineida visited a local shop with his mother and partner. Security footage showed everything seemed normal, until 2 men on motorcycles pulled up. One wore a motorcycle helmet, the other a cap. Without warning, both opened fire. The shooting was swift and brutal. Pineida was killed instantly, along with his partner. His mother suffered injuries, but survived. The attack was a shocking escalation of violence against prominent public figures, and immediately sent shockwaves through Ecuadorian society. Barcelona SC, his club since 2016, released a somber statement expressing how deeply his death impacted the organization. "Rest in peace," they wrote in a heartfelt tribute. The Ecuadorian Football Federation condemned the violence and offered condolences to Pineida's family, joining a chorus of Latin American soccer clubs mourning his loss. Authorities moved quickly. Within days, police arrested 2 suspects, Christian PG and Gymnary PB. A judge ordered their preventive detention, citing substantial evidence and the risk of flight. The investigation focused on possible connections to the ongoing wave of gang violence terrorizing the city. Pineida's murder wasn't an isolated incident. Just weeks earlier, a 16-year-old footballer from Independiente del Valle died from a stray bullet, also in Guayaquil. In October, local footballer Brian Angelo was wounded in a shooting, and months before, 3 second-tier players, Michael Valencia, Leandro Yepes, and Jonathan Gonzalez, died from gunshot wounds. These attacks weren't random. As gang wars intensified, criminals targeted athletes and public figures to demonstrate their power. Pineida's high profile made him an attractive target for groups seeking to flex their influence. Guayaquil's transformation was stark. Once known as a hub for sports and development, it became synonymous with car bombings, extortion, and daily gunfire. The city's murder rate climbed catastrophically, reflecting Ecuador's broader struggle with criminal organizations linked to Colombian and Mexican cartels. President Daniel Noboa responded with military force, deploying troops in an attempt to restore order. But even as law enforcement presence increased, violence continued. Gang operations evolved, adapting to security measures and expanding their reach. For Ecuadorian soccer, Pineida's death marked a grim milestone. It signaled that no one, not even national sports heroes, were immune from the growing threat. Fans across the country mourned not just a talented defender, but a symbol of hope crushed by criminal violence. His career statistics, 8 national team appearances, 2 league titles, and international games, now serve as somber reminders of what Ecuador lost. Pineida's final match as a late substitute in the 2021 Copa America against Brazil was supposed to be just another chapter in a promising career. Instead, it became a closing act. But if Pineida's story is haunting, the next case reveals an even darker side of sports and criminal influence. October 11, 2009, La Tala, Venezuela. The amateur football team Los Maniceros finished their match, not knowing it would be their last together. The final whistle sounded normal, but something deadly was waiting on the sidelines. Los Maniceros, known locally as the Peanut Men for their day job selling nuts, were a tight-knit group of young men from Colombia and neighboring countries. Their passion for football brought them together, even as the landscape around them grew more dangerous with every passing year. Most of the team were Colombian, but the squad included a Peruvian and a Venezuelan, each sharing the same hope that sport could transcend the violent, simmering Betty, wean their home nations. Their ages ranged from 17 to 38, representing multiple generations of local talent. But football wasn't just a game for these men. It was one of the few escapes they had from the growing pressures of civil conflict and cartel warfare plaguing the region. The pitch was their sanctuary, a place where politics and violence supposedly stopped at the gate. That illusion shattered in an instant when a group of armed black-clad men approached the field after the final whistle. They didn't fire warning shots or make demands. Instead, they began calling out players by name, one after another, forcing them into waiting vans at gunpoint. What followed was 2 weeks of unimaginable terror. The captives were chained by their necks to trees in the sweltering Venezuelan sun. Their only company was each other, and their captors, believed to be members of Colombia's National Liberation Army, or ELN. Food and water were scarce. Hope was scarcer. Then the executions began. One by one, 11 team members, sons, brothers, friends, were shot and killed. Their bodies were later found scattered across the Táchira region, each bearing multiple bullet wounds. Somehow, 19-year-old Manuel Cortez survived. He'd been shot through the neck, but the bullet missed all major arteries. His will to live, combined with incredible luck, saved him. Security forces quickly moved Cortez to a military hospital, fearing the killers would try to silence the only witness. When he could finally speak, Cortez identified the ELN as their captors. He claimed the team had been lured into their territory under false pretenses, though the exact motive remains unclear to this day. Some believe it was a simple case of mistaken identity. Others suspect deeper ties to the ongoing Colombian conflict. The massacre sent shockwaves through both Venezuela and Colombia. Colombian President Álvaro Uribe called it a deplorable act, emphasizing that terrorism knew no borders. Venezuelan Vice President Ramón Carrizales suggested the tragedy was an extension of Colombia's internal strife. Military presence in the region immediately increased. Troops were ordered to act forcefully against any Colombian armed group. Meanwhile, the surviving families demanded answers and justice that would never truly come. For the survivors, nothing would ever be the same. The tight-knit football community fractured, haunted by memories of lost teammates and the fear that violence could strike again at any moment. Today, the Los Maniceros massacre stands as a chilling reminder that no sanctuary is truly safe when armed conflict spills across borders. The promise of sport as a unifying force was shattered on that field in La Tala, replaced by an unending question: how many more must die before the violence ends?